picking it back up. This one is from our colleague Andy. I want each of you to pick a local or personal sports-related moment, person, or storyline that fascinates you, but you can never find an avenue to organically discuss it in the show.
I mean, discuss what about it? Because I mean, there's plenty of things that jump out to mind. But
yeah.
I mean,
with me, I love talking about all the old historical stuff from the 70s, 60s, 80s, whatever. But it's just it never really seems to lend itself to like long conversations. There might be the anecdote here and there, but I don't know that everybody would want to listen to me prattle on and on about the old days. But that would be something that I would like to talk about if, given the opportunity. That's what I enjoy talking about, I guess. But it is tough to find a spot to work it in where it isn't just, if it doesn't make sense to the conversation, there's no point in bringing it up is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I would say for me it is the bad blood left between Vince Carter and the Toronto Raptors.
Okay.
Because Vince Carter. Okay, for like brief aside, it like Michael Jordan was pretty big in Canada just as he was in the United States, and so a lot of kids my age in 96, 97, near the tail end of Jordan's career, absolutely loved the guy. And they loved the Bulls, and they were like, oh, my favorite team's the Bulls. And I was like, no, I'm going to be a Raptors fan. And Vince Carter, a couple years later, emerges and kind of legitimizes the Raptors as an NBA team. And I absolutely loved the Raptors during Vince Carter's run. And then it just kind of ended on such a sour note. And then he came back and beat the Raptors when he played for the Nets in the playoffs. And it was just and then things seem to have gotten better, but the team and him still don't seem to be on good terms. And I'm still a big fan of Vince Carter, but I'm a Raptors fan too. And it's just this really fascinating, but at the same time awkward story that, one, the opportunity to talk about it rarely comes up, and two, as you could probably tell from my answer here, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I love the team, love the player, so there's really nowhere for me to really take the conversation beyond just how surreal those couple of years were where the Raptors and Vince just completely fell apart, and things just got extremely awkward for a few years when he kept beating the Raptors in the playoffs. But yeah, that would be my answer.
Zach?
I mean, there's two that I can think of, but like the one that would take a little bit more conversation to kind of form a thesis necessarily about, but it's the impact of Disney on the Orange County sports identity, because when the Angels moved down here with Gene Autry, they were the California Angels, and they were still the Los Angeles American League franchise, and the Rams played in the stadium. They were the LA Rams. No one thought anything of it. It was just, Disneyland was in Anaheim, the Angels and Rams play in Anaheim, but they were still Los Angeles. But then when they bought the Angels and named them the Anaheim Angels, and the Rams had left, and they had created the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, they had separated themselves from Los Angeles. They didn't name the Ducks the Los Angeles Ducks. The Angels, they obviously changed it from California to Anaheim, and the Rams were gone, so they couldn't do anything about it. But they really kind of put forth and started to cultivate a Orange County identity of sports between the Angels and Ducks as kind of like a more family-friendly type of thing. And, L.A. was the dirty place that we didn't want to go to, and the Orange Curtain and all that stuff. It all kind of played together. And so when the name change with the Angels came about, and as we've seen so many times on the boards, the steadfastness to say, no, this is our Orange County team now. This is completely ours. We're not a Los Angeles team. Sure, you could, whatever, we might be the Los Angeles market, but that's not these aren't Los Angeles area sports teams, So it's I would have to kind of narrow it down a little bit further and probably try to find some more direct impacts from Disney on a whole bunch of other stuff. Because one thing too is if you're in Orange County or you lived in Orange County or you go through Anaheim at all, Disney is like in the city of Anaheim. Disney is probably the most powerful entity, even more so than like the city of Anaheim government. Disneyland is kind of its thing unto itself. Like you drive on the freeways and you'll notice when you're around the Disneyland exits, the freeway looks a little bit nicer around there than it does in other parts.
Oh, sure.
And that's because Disney paid for that stuff to be cleaned up a bit and marketed it in such a way. So Disney has a very powerful hold on a lot of things when it comes to Orange County politics and culture and even into sports and stuff like that. And without them making the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim or the Anaheim Angels, we probably there wouldn't be that sort of there'd be some like, oh, it was kind of like poke fun, like, yeah, LA Orange County, but there'd be a little bit more, we'd be a little bit more inclusive as to being the Los Angeles market. Probably wouldn't think twice about it.
Cool.
And then the other one that I would dive into just because it's affected me, or it affected me personally when I was younger, was the departure of Paul Correa from the Mighty Ducks and the bad blood that happened and lingered, and we thought we were kind of over it, but Paul still has this distant relationship with the team and the sport of hockey itself, so it's kind of a weird little thing where we hated him because of leaving for money and all these other factors, and now that we've let time pass and we won the cup, and Tamu has kind of said like, hey, I love Paul too. Why can't you guys? And we say, oh, okay, fine. But there's just not like a mutual agreement to bring everybody back into the fold and retire a number or have a ceremony or anything like that. So,
all right,
those are mine.
Let's move on.
Well, do you have one, Greg? Or no, you already said yours.
Just yeah, like right. I love talking
right.
about the old days. I mean, that's the best way to put it.
The old days.
Not like it's better or it's this or that. I just happen to know a lot about it. I mean, it's weird as it sounds. I like studied it. I read books on baseball and shit when I was young, and so.
All that sort of stuff is very interesting to me too. It's just I don't know if it's something for conversation, but it's always it's always interesting to learn about. Like when you think about it, it's like baseball's been played competitively since like 1889.
Yeah.
Like really?
Yeah.
That long ago?
I can sit and talk about
it's the same game.
Essentially. There's some minor changes here and there, but really, if you went back and watched the game, I wouldn't say maybe 1889 would look a lot different than it does now. But I'd say if you went back to like 1920, or from the live, even the dead ball era, it's going to look essentially the same. But yeah, it's been the same game all these years, which I think is pretty cool.
It's not. It's like instituting the forward pass or dunking 3-point lines or hockey, whatever you want to put in there. Baseball is baseball.
Yeah, and I like another thing. I love like the ABA. I'd like to. I love talking about the ABA, the old AFL, the USFL, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but again, with this show, we're pretty much current event focused. So it's not a bad thing. It's just something that I think would be fun. But I don't know how long you would hold people's interest.
I would love to watch a series of dead ball era baseball games. I would be fascinated by that.
Yeah, because back then it's they played for triples and Ty Cobb was like the home run is bullshit. Triples are where it's at. But anyway, that would be my thing. But moving along from SF Giants 58, this is a tough one again. You're asking uniform dorks to pick just one. What's your favorite Major League Baseball cap?
I think it'd be best for us to limit it to current caps too.
Yeah.
otherwise we could be here for hours.
Right.
Trying to picture them all in my head real quick. I mean, the Yankee hat is always a classic. Same with the Dodger hat. But you know what? My favorite Major League Baseball hat is the only non-Angels hat that I've bought and wear consistently. Is the Blue Jays. I love that. I love that Blue Jays hat.
That's a good one.
Just the color, it's such a striking shade of blue, and the logo is perfect, and the little spot of red with the maple leaf kind of puts a little cherry on the whole thing. No pun intended.
Yeah, they've got a great look. Mike, what about you?
I'm going to be a homer, and I'm just going to echo that and say the Blue Jays. It goes back. Like, I've been a Blue Jays fan since I was a kid, and I just get really nostalgic anytime. Even I see the current calf because it's so reminiscent of the old one. If I had to pick anything that wasn't, if someone said, okay, no, you can't pick the Blue Jays, the easy one for me then would be the Yankees, just because I think that if, like, you took, like, a collective consciousness of humanity and told it what does a baseball cap look like, the Yankees would be the answer. So
if I had to pick one favorite, and this is really tough for me because there are very few that I don't like.
Because you have 26 favorite baseball teams.
Well, that too. But if I had to pick one favorite cap out of all of Major League Baseball, I'd probably have to say it's the San Francisco Giants.
That's a strong one.
I love the SF. I love the black and the orange together.
Yeah.
But man, it's tough. It just edges out the Dodgers. I love that LA, and that one just edges out the Mets. And then you guys are right about the Yankees. See what I mean? We can go on and on and on.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought up the Giants though, because the Giants were playing an interleague series with the Yankees over the weekend, and I don't remember the scores or anything, but I saw a highlight and I just saw the Giants running around in Yankee Stadium, and it looks so like perfectly baseball.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Have the Giants playing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. It was just like the uniform combination and in the game just looked like, that's what I want to
building off that just to show that we could be here all day. I also like the Mets because the Mets cap is the perfect combination of the Dodgers and the Giants. It's like
the Mets was going to be my other choice. Yeah.
So definitely. it's like you could just keep if you wanted to, we could probably make an entire show just talking about baseball.
I don't like the A's, but the green and the gold with the white A is almost perfect too. It's
there are very few that aren't pretty good, at least.
Diamondbacks.
Not the current one.
No, not the current.
And just a correction too, we found this out on the last Ask Us Anything show. I actually have 11 favorite baseball teams, not 26.
Okay.
We broke it all down, like teams that I call my favorites, ones I like, write them down the list. Who wants the next one? SF Giants, speaking of the Giants, 58 asks, who wants it?
Charcoal or gas grill?
This is easy. This is easy for me. I love to grill. When I got my current place in Waterloo here, when I found out I had a balcony, I immediately bought a grill. And I'm psyched that the place in Tampa that I'm moving to, at least temporarily, will have a grill. So I'm all over this. Answer is easy. It's charcoal grill. Any other answer is wrong, and you're grilling wrong, and you should feel bad about that.
I think charcoal grills probably give you the best flavor of a grill.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But when it comes to like actual operation of said grill,
right,
I go with gas just because I can't. It's hard for me to monitor exactly what's going on with charcoal because you don't.
No, you just got to get in there.
Yeah.
For speed and accuracy, gas grill all the way.
Yeah.
Flavor charcoal wins in a walk, but for speed and accuracy, it's got to be gas.
If you want to be a casual griller, I suppose.
I mean, I like grilling just as much as anybody else, but I wouldn't call myself like, a grill master. I can grill.
I can do steaks, chicken breasts, and hamburgers really great. I've never tried it on charcoal. Maybe I should. I'm with you, Zach. It's too hard for me to figure out what's going on. But I love it. Don't get me wrong. People that can grill on charcoal and do a good job of it, God, it's awesome. Yeah. Mike, who was your favorite Starscream?
This is easy. Armada Starscream. A lot of people like to specify that it would be Unicron Trilogy Starscream from the Armada Energon Cybertron series, but those people would be wrong because Cybertron was technically a standalone series, and Energon is objectively awful, so it's Armada Starscream. That's the right answer.
Okay. You might as well have been speaking Bulgarian there, Mike. You lost me.
I would have not understood it any beber if you'd spoken in Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah. It's Armada Starscream because I have fond memories of him. It was like the perfect time. It's sort of an anime style show right when I was into Dragon Ball Z. And he had a very angsty personality right when I was entering my teens, and it was just like the perfect combination of factors. So Armada Starscream.
All right.
Greg, what would you say to the writers of Sons of Anarchy if you met them? Also,
Nice.
The last question from SF Giants.
Nice try.
Yeah.
I would say that you wrote a very, I suppose, violent and entertaining TV show that has about as much to do with reality as Star Trek does with current reality. It's complete bullshit.
So, Greg, you're saying that when you go out on your bike, Sons of Anarchy isn't what you do?
Do I go out and kill 37 people in a week? As a rule, no.
Oh, see, now I'm just disappointed because I was just imagining that's all you did when you went. Grant,
I'll be the first to admit I don't know a whole lot about the MC culture, which is that's what Clubs of Anarchy is, a quote unquote 1%er motorcycle club. But from what all I can gather from people that actually do know about that culture is it is just pure fantasy. That it's not even close to. They got one part right. They wear the vests with the patches and they ride Harleys. The rest of it is nonsense. And I would just say to them, nice try. You made a mildly entertaining TV show, but you do not at all capture the culture of bikers with this show at all. Not even close. That's what I would say.
From Wild Wing 64, what's the greatest sporting moment in your lifetime that you regret not attending?
See, I had a tough time with this question. Does he mean like anything that happened or locally that we could have attended or what?
I would just to keep it simpler, I'd probably say with our favorite teams.
Okay.
The one for me, which is easy, because I've been to every Ducks game of consequence. Really, the only one that I missed was the 2007 Western Conference clincher. But I saw the cup get raised in the next series, so I can't think too hard about that one. Mm-hmm. I didn't get to go to any of the World Series games or any the playoff games that year for the Angels, so I always regret not being able to go to I was 12. I didn't really have a say in the matter. But when we did get tickets, I didn't unlike the Ducks where I'm like at the top of the list in terms of the family pecking order. I was always pushed down on the Angel list, so I didn't get to go to any of those games. And the Angel playoff games that I have gone to, most of the time were the stupid Red Sox games, and I like to forget most of those.
I agree. For me, if we're talking just my teams, the 1986 Browns-Jets playoff game, I'd have loved to have been there. That was the double overtime game where the Browns were down 10 with 4 minutes left, came back and tied it and won it in double OT. I would have loved to have gone to that one. And when I was a kid, I missed out not on one, but 2 no-hitters. My buddy, who still has Indians tickets to this day, called me up one night when we were both about 15 and said, hey, we're going to the game. Would you like to go? And I said, no, I've got to do this or that or the other thing. And a guy named Ken Bosman pitched a no-hitter for the Indians. Fast forward to 1981. He calls again. He's like, hey, I got tickets. We're going to go. Do you want to go? And I'm like, no, I think I'll pass. Lynn Barker pitches a perfect game for the Indians. So those are 2 that I kind of wish I'd been there for, too. Mike?
This one is easy. I didn't pass up an opportunity to go, but I easily could have gone if I had wanted to. And that would have been Game 5, Blue Jays, Texas Rangers, that 7th inning. That was happening in Toronto.
Yeah.
I was watching it with my then significant other in Waterloo, and yeah, if I had wanted to go, I could have easily gotten tickets to that.
See, I would have liked to have gone to that one.
And I was just sort of like, and it was one of those things where it was like, you know what, I'll watch it. I did all the rationalization beforehand, where it's like I was obviously going to watch a game. I was like, nah, don't worry, we'll be at your place, bathrooms right there, kitchen's right there. We don't have to wait in lines and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. And you know what? It'll be fine. We don't have to. And then it turns out to be like one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting baseball games I've ever seen. And you know what? If I had pushed just a little bit harder, I probably could have gone.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think I was trying to think of something else, like in terms of other games. The only football one I could think of was Arizona State. My first year there, they had they always have the trips for the students when they go play on the road.
Right.
and when they're playing U of A. It was like the first rivalry game that I was going to be a part of. I was kind of stoked. I wanted to go do it, and I could have done it, and I just kind of, not had cold feet, but just didn't pull the trigger. And then it was like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. I'll just watch it here. It'll be no big deal. And then, we went down and upset them on like a block. We blocked a couple extra points and beat them. And so it was like, oh, that would have been amazing to go to. But
another one that I don't know that I actually could have gone to this one. I probably could have if I wanted to spend $5,000-$6,000. What would have been Ohio State, Michigan in 2002 when the Buckeyes finished off the undefeated season and all that. Yeah. That would have been another cool one to go to. Conversely, what one sporting moment do you regret attending the most? This is easy for me.
Do you regret attending? Huh.
Yeah, it was a Rangers-Indians doubleheader in August of 1990. The Indians were in the midst of like a 57 and 105 record, playing the Rangers, who were equally fucking terrible. It was a doubleheader. There might have been 3,000 people in the stands, and it was just the most. Let me put it this way. If you used those two games to try to get people to like baseball, the sport would have died the next day. It was just horrible. And, when I saw that question, it was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, well, that's got to be my answer. I don't know if that's what he was looking for, but that's my answer. Those are like 4 hours of my life I'll never get back.
Right. This one I can't think too much of. I'm sure there's some bad Angel games like that I can, but like, even like when I've gone to like a big loss, I don't regret being there because it's like, win or lose, I wanted to be there for that game, for that moment. Like, the ones that jump out of my head, of course, are like the last 4 game 7s that I had the distinct pleasure of being in the pond for. I think of losing to the Kings on home ice in game 7 to end Teemu Solani's career. That sucked. Being 1 game away from the Stanley Cup final the very next year, that sucked. But I don't regret being there for any of them.
Well, that's what I mean. Of all the sporting events I've gone to in my life, there's only one that I've ever thought, I wish I hadn't done this, and it was that one. That's the only one.
I think there was before I went to Arizona State and I was still a USC fan, I went to a USC ASU game out in Tempe because my aunt was going there at the time. And we got it was one of those days where they weren't able to schedule it at night like they usually try to. So it was a 1:00 start.
Oh.
It was in September. It was 107 degrees outside, and we were sitting on the metal bleachers.
Oh my God!
And so the environment that sucked. But Reggie Bush ran for like 500 yards that day, so I didn't really care too much. But the sunburn and the dehydration afterwards probably weren't worth it.
Yeah.
Like Zach, games I've been to where my team has lost, like I still don't regret going there because it's always an experience for my family or for my friends, and it's generally positive. The one that stands out in my mind would have been, it was like a year or two after I had moved to London, Ontario for university, and I managed to get tickets to a London Knights Kitchener Rangers game, and to anyone from the area, you will know that's an accomplishment in and of itself because the London Knights, they sell out as quickly as NHL teams do with a stadium that's like less than half the size of an NHL arena. So tickets are a rare commodity there. I was able to catch one to see, my team, the Kitchener Rangers. They were playing the London Knights, and the Knights just absolutely stomped them. This was right during the London Knights mid 2000s peak, and I don't know why, but for some reason that loss just like really bummed me out. I was there with some of my family who was in London. They were all London Knights fans. I was still new to the city, and my hometown team just got absolutely humiliated, and that bummed me out of it. So if I could take anyone back, it would be that one.
Okay.
Yeah. I think another, like, there's probably a game where like I spent too much money on a ticket and it wasn't worth it because the team lost or something like that. Yeah. Or I think we made a trip to St. Louis to see the Ducks, and they lost like 9-5.
Oh man,
9-4, some garbage, and it was just like, wow, okay. Yeah, anyway.
Let's see. From Ashes of Astro World, what a great name. What football team would you support regardless of the home city? I don't quite understand the question.
I think it's in terms of like, for you,
Like,
you were a Browns fan because
okay.
the Browns were in Ohio. I am going to be a Rams fan because we have the Rams back in LA. But I think it's also different because you have a team that you support that's, not in your city with the Packers.
Right.
I support the Colts, which aren't exactly in my city. And Mike, you support the Chargers, which aren't your home city either. So I think we all kind of already do that.
Yeah.
So,
one of the reasons I went with the Packers was because they couldn't move. That was one of the big things. Because in '95, you guys probably don't remember. Well, you don't, I'm sure. I think we had 3 teams move that year. We had the Oilers, the Rams, or not. I won't take that back. Well, it may have been 4. We had the Raiders, the Rams, the Oilers, and the Browns. And it was like, this is bullshit. And I thought the Packers can't go anywhere. Plus, I'd always liked them from the uniforms and that when I was a kid. Right. So, but yeah, I that's to me, I don't know. See, it always comes back to, had the Browns remained the Browns after they moved to Baltimore, I think after a couple of years, I might have gotten back on board. So it's hard for me to say because that's not what happened.
Yeah.
With me, like, I've never had a local NFL team. And so my 2 NFL teams of choice are the Chargers and the Cardinals, and my fandom of those teams is not determined by location. So both of those teams could move, and the Chargers probably will move stupidly, but they probably will. I'd still support them. Maybe moving to Tampa, I'll give it a couple of years and see if the Bucks take. Although if those uniforms, they're really starting at a handicap. Mm-hmm. If the Bucks hadn't changed their uniforms, they probably have a much better chance at winning me over, for a decent season or 2. But
same with me. I would feel the same way with any one of the 3 Florida teams. If you didn't all look so ridiculous, you might have a shot with me, but not now.
Exactly. It's like, or if the Bucks went with their throwbacks, even then, it's kind of got a kitschy vibe to it. But this current garbage, no, you're going to have to. You're going to have to go 19-0 and have some of the most inspired football I've ever seen for me to even give a crap about you with the way that you look. Yeah. So both my NFL teams of choice are not tied to my location. I support the Chargers or the Cardinals wherever they go because the Chargers, I'm just a fan of the team, and the Cardinals, I'm a fan of the Cardinals because of their long history. And that long history includes 3 cities and 4 location names. So, they can move anywhere, and I'd still like them.
Yeah, I think we are there. The question was answered before it was even asked.
Yeah, if you've been listening to this show, everyone probably could have figured that out.
Yeah, I really do think. I think I've talked about it before too. That had the Browns remained the Browns in Baltimore, maybe even right away, just because they're the Browns, and it's just so ingrained in you at that point that I think I would have probably eventually gotten on board. I hate to say it.
You know what? If the Browns had stayed the Browns in Baltimore, it would have been better for the legacy of the Browns football team.
Oh my goodness, yes! I'd have a couple Super Bowls now.
Yes, Baltimore Browns, 2-time Super Bowl champions, and then the Cleveland
Rockers, whatever they're going to be called,
whatever the fucks, then they can be the proper laughingstock they are. So, that would have been for the legacy of the name Browns. It would have been better if the city of Cleveland had just let the name go.
Okay, we're closing in on 30 minutes again, so we're going to pause, and we will come back with another good question from LMU. LMU asks, what city do you have the most sports hatred for, and what lights the fire of your vitriol towards that populace?
I'll go first. I'll light this candle. It's St. Louis. It's no question.
Okay.
Pittsburgh sucks from the boards, thinks for some reason I hate Cleveland. I don't hate Cleveland. I don't have anything against Cleveland. I don't have anything against Ohio in general. I have a problem with some people from Ohio, but I don't have a problem with Cleveland. I don't know.
Mike, you got to understand that all Cleveland fans think everybody hates them. It's just part of the contract. You have to agree to that when you sign on.
Yeah, but no. I don't have a problem with Cleveland. I hate St. Louis. I hate St. Louis, and just to explain why, it's the unashamed arrogance and their disgusting pizza.
Mine, and I think mine's probably the same as yours, Greg. The city of Boston, Massachusetts. Oh, God, these people.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Red Sox or the Patriots or the Celtics, or even the Bruins as of late. Just all you fucking massholes. They all suck. Their attitude sucks.
And they're obsessed with Puritan futility.
Yeah, their accent sucks. Their views suck. Their teams suck. Tom Brady sucks. You all suck.
Well said. I have two, Boston, and you would think that would be a recent development, but for the strangest reason, and I think I've said this before, I have hated Boston teams for as long as I can remember. I can't even tell you why. I don't know. Maybe it's a past life thing or something. I don't know. But from the time
you were a red coat in the past life, and you're really holding the Boston Massacre against them.
That could be. I really don't know. I just know that when I was a kid, I would watch. And back then, baseball game of the week was a lot like it is now, where it was if you could get the Red Sox or the Yankees, of course that's who they were going to show. And I would watch like a Red Sox game on NBC's Game of the Week when I was a kid, and I was just like, I hate these guys. I just couldn't.
Did the games take 4 hours back then too?
No, they took like 2 hours and 5 minutes. It was, and I don't know what happened along the way there. That's another show, and I just hated them. I couldn't stand them. And then the 80s came along with the Celtics, and I hated them, and that was easy to do because I already hated the Red Sox and I already hated the Patriots. But I can't explain why. I wish I could. I don't know what started it. I'll never understand it, but I can't stand that city, and it's got nothing to do with their recent run of success. No one was happier than I was in 2003 when Brett Boone hit that home run. I thought it was the funniest fucking thing I'd ever seen in my life. I really did. I loved every minute of it. When
so
the
2004 was hard for you.
Yeah, but it was, except for the fact that setting aside my absolute hatred for the city and its teams, it was some really great baseball. To watch them come back from that deficit was really cool.
To me, I was pulling for them those entire playoffs. When they did it, I was right there. I was like, "This is awesome, the city of Boston. I'm so happy for you guys." And then they turned into assholes like the next season.
Well, that's the thing. I enjoyed it when it was happening, and I'll admit I was rooting for them when they were playing the Yankees that particular season because it was just so. Just the baseball and just what was taking place was unprecedented. First off, and secondly, it was just really good, entertaining baseball. But it didn't last long. When they got to the series, I was like, okay, if they win, that'll be great, and I'm happy for them. And my thought was at the time, maybe they'll finally shut up if they win a World Series. Maybe that'll be that. Boy, was I ever wrong. And real quick, and there's another city that I can't explain either is Philadelphia. And I really can't explain this one. I've never liked the Philadelphia teams, except the Sixers. They don't bother me at all. But the Flyers, the Phillies.
Well, how can the Sixers bother you?
Well, they used to be good. I mean, in the 80s,
they have to be relevant.
They were in the 80s. They were a really good team. But the Phillies, the Eagles, and the Flyers, I hate. And I can't tell you why. I have no idea. Ever since I was a kid, I've just never liked Philadelphia teams.
These people boo Santa Claus, Greg. So
I just don't understand it. I wish I could give you a better explanation than that, Dennis. But that's all I got. It's always been that way. I don't hate. At the height of my Browns fandom and the Browns-Steelers rivalries, I never hated the Steelers as much as I hate the fucking city of Boston. That's how bad it is.
What about the Broncos in Denver? Just because of
that at the time, yeah, that might have been the worst, but that went away. I was happy to see Peyton Manning win the Super Bowl at the Broncos, and I grew to appreciate John Elway after a while. It took a little while, but I finally got there. But with
after
Boston,
he made his career destroying your team.
Yeah, really. But with Boston, had they not won those, I just, like I said, the best way I can describe it is I cracked up laughing when Brett Boone hit the home run. I thought it was just hysterical. I loved every minute of it. So I can't explain it, but that's just the way it is. Here's one for you, Zach.
Right.
Can we agree that both L.A. and Orange County have much more hatred towards the Bay Area than each other? I'm curious to hear your answer on this.
Well, because this is part of that last question. While I hate the city of Boston as a whole more, the team, my least favorite team and my least favorite fan base is the LA Kings and LA Kings fans. But I'm going to agree with LMU's premise here. Because, yes, I hate the Kings. I hate the Kings with all my fucking fibers of my body. I also hate the Clippers because it's just funny. But
Well, I hate the Clippers because they seem to think they matter now, and they still
don't. But
they came so close to mattering for about 5 minutes there. They came so close.
Right. But I'm an LA Rams fan. I'm an LA Lakers fan. The Dodgers, they tried to make it as like an Angels versus Dodgers thing, but we're two separate leagues. It doesn't matter. I don't have anything against the Dodgers, really. I like Dodger Stadium, and the Dodgers uniforms are great. And, of course, if you hate Vin Scully, you're not an American. But, yeah, I don't hate Los Angeles as a sports city. I hate the Los Angeles Kings. So turn that around. The A's suck. The Sharks really suck. And let's see, the Raiders are stupid. And the Warriors are now like the worst thing to ever happen to anything. Yeah, no, I agree. I hate the Bay Area. Oh, and Cal and Stanford can go shove it up their ass.
I just want to ask the Warriors how that 73-9 worked out for them this year.
Well, no, now they're probably gonna go like 74-8 this year.
That's okay.
Now.
That's fine. We'll
it's so funny how fast everything turned around on the Warriors.
They turned heel.
But you know what? Don't you think it was their own doing,
loved them all, and then just like quickly, boom, done. We hate them.
But I think it was a rare case where I don't think the fans did it so much as the team itself did it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely.
It just wasn't. It wasn't like I don't know. I can't really use Boston as an example because fuck them. But sometimes you get a team, like the 04 Red Sox or the Seahawks. Yeah, but man, the Warriors. That was the fastest I'd ever seen it happen. It was amazing.
Yeah, because we loved them one season, and then it was great. Oh yeah, 25. The winning streak to start the season, and then it just slowly crept through. And by the end of the season, it was no, we don't care about this anymore.
I think it was arrogance encapsulated by that comment. I forgot who said it on the team. But at the end of the season, when someone asked him, what does that record mean? What does 73-9 mean? And he said, it means I'm best of the greatest team. I'm part of the greatest team of all time. And it's like, no, because ask the, New England Patriots, their 6-0 regular season, if that's the greatest team of all time. That's the ultimate lesson in hubris that the Golden State Warriors should have heeded, and they didn't.
Flew too close to the sun.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah, I think that when you really know you hate a team when you get that invested where you want them to lose so bad, like with the Patriots or whatever, where you're rooting for them almost as hard as you would root for your own team. Where you're rooting for whoever's playing the team that you hate. That's me with Boston.
I think I celebrated the Giants beating the Patriots in the first Super Bowl harder than I did the Ducks winning the Cup, and I'm
right there with you. I was like, "This is awesome!" And the helmet catch and the whole bit, it was great.
When Plaxico Burress caught that touchdown to put them ahead late in that game, I jumped out of my couch. Just yes!
I actually have heard Trey Parker and Matt Stone of South Park describe that helmet catch as the hand of God, like just dictating that no. Evil will not be done here today.
Have you noticed that though? It used to be like, okay, you had the Dolphins in '72 that went 17-0, and that great Bears team in '85 went, I think, 15 or 18-1. The 49ers went 18-1, where they would close the deal. But lately, with like the Patriots and now the Warriors, and I'm sure there's a couple others have been there along the way. Well, the Mariners and what was it, 2001?
The Capitals this year.
The Capitals this year,
right?
Yeah.
They don't close the deal anymore, and it's just kind of strange. It used to be they always close the deal, but not anymore. Yeah. We want to move on. Are we all set with that?
Yeah, I think the next one we have down here is one from our Facebook page.
Yes.
I grew up in Montreal, and the Habs were my favorite team as a kid. I lived in Montreal for 17 years. I now live in Tampa, and have lived here for 25 years. My favorite hockey team is now the Bolts. Certain members of my family, I won't say who, feel that I'm being disloyal by rooting for the Bolts now. Opinions?
I think 25 years earns you a membership to the fan base of the team in your hometown. Or not your hometown, but where you live.
Okay.
Mike, is there any chance that this question might be a direct question to you? I'm just wondering.
It would be, yes. The best way, in my opinion, it's one of those things where I think it comes down to formulative fandom. If you're from somewhere and this is the team you grew up with as a kid, I think, formulative experiences really do account for a lot of everyone's personality. And I don't know, like I don't have a problem with rooting for, if we're going to broaden this question, you live in one city for most of your life, then you move somewhere else, and over the course of your lifetime, you come to live in that new city longer. I don't think there's anything wrong with necessarily rooting for the local team there, but I do find it strange that they would eclipse the team that you grew up rooting for and like you had all those memories attached to. So that's my take on it.
I think that you got to be pretty serious about your new team to walk away from the greatest team in the history of hockey. Myself, I think that tells me that this isn't a matter of I'm going to go with these guys because they're better or whatever. So I'm going to give them a pass. I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there wasn't any sort of schism type event where it's like these guys have wronged me for the last time, I can't do it. And I think, but I also think that if it's your favorite team, and I don't have any problem with rooting for the local team when you're there, but when Montreal plays the Lightning, who are you rooting for the Lightning now against your old team? I think that's the defining line for me.
And that's a poignant question because the Montreal Canadiens and Tampa Bay Lightning are finally in the same division as history and geography dictated they should have been the entire time.
Yeah. And I mean, I see plenty of that stuff, at Ducks games, let's say. There are plenty of people that I've sat next to over the years they were Ducks fans through and through throughout the year. But then when the Red Wings would come into town, they show up in a Red Wing jersey or a Blackhawks jersey or what have you. And it's like, I don't like it, but I understand it. And I think I respect it in a way.
Now, the good news is, for me, if I end up in Tampa a long time and I do warm up to the Lightning, I don't have to change gear.
No, not at all. You wear blue and white, you're good to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I can't say I've experienced quite like this, but I know that even with the Browns not being what I consider the real Browns and all that, I've still never rooted against them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care who they're playing. I mean, they played the Packers a couple of times, and I wasn't like, let's kill these guys or whatever.
Right.
It's a very strange feeling because you're like, well, they're not my team anymore, but they used to be. I don't know. I guess it'd be like, I don't know, watching your ex-wife get her ass kicked and enjoying it, I guess, or something. It's hard to describe, but yeah, I think 25 years. And plus, I think 25 years ago, the Habs were still pretty good. Not that they're not good now, but what would that be? They won last one in 93?
93, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Although, to be fair, I won't begrudge any Habs fans who feel pissed off and slighted over recent management and personnel decisions. And I'll just leave it at that because we've beat that horse to death.
Yeah, I think you can root for the hometown team. I don't have any problem with that, especially you're living there long enough. But don't be like some sort of bandwagoner. Root for the team when they're there, but also root for your old team. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think if you can find a way to do both, that's the way to do it. I guess a good example for me would be like when the Jackets play the Rangers. No, I can't because I do root for the Jackets to beat the Rangers. Yeah. But not like I would if they were playing the Flyers or the Bruins. That wouldn't even come close. But he's got a couple other ones real quick. You guys remember the first sporting event you ever attended? For me, it was Indians-Yankees game. I don't remember what year it was. It was a long time ago. That's my first.
I don't remember my first one. I don't know if it was an Angel game or a Ducks game first. It's probably a Ducks game, I would imagine. 3 or 4. I don't remember. It's just, sports are very big in my family, and it was just something that I'm sure I was taken to, and I wasn't really cognitive of what's going on.
Yeah, I think I was 8 or 9 when I went to my first major league game.
I can't remember, honestly. Like, I know what the first one I went to was, but I honestly don't remember being there because I was so little.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's probably a Blue Jays game.
And what foreign country would you want to live in the most? I think we kind of already did this, didn't we?
Well, we did it, but without the caveat of Canada, Mexico.
I'm going to go back with my original answer, Australia.
Yeah. I would say either Britain or Canada. And
Canada,
probably
yeah, I guess I don't think of Canada.
Canada is technically a foreign country.
Yeah, it
but
is.
And to be a little bit more specifically foreign, I think out of the bits of Canada I visited, I would love to live in Montreal, man. That's a wonderful
Montreal, and I say this as someone with a very limited grasp of the French language. Is fantastic city.
Yeah.
Like I'm going, and again, Montreal, if you're an Anglophone, is easy because it is sort of the center of English Canadian culture in Quebec. So you're not entirely handicapped, but still.
Like I don't know if I'd live in Quebec City.
No. Quebec City. You might as well be in Paris.
Exactly. But Montreal, you can get by with English, but if I lived there, just out of respect or ability to read some signs, I think learning French would be helpful.
You'd probably learn it too just by living there for a few months, right?
Oh yeah.
You'd learn enough to get by, or at least order a coffee.
Hell, when I went to one Canadiens game, I learned some of the name of penalties in French.
One of the things I wish I would have done when I was living in upstate New York was go to Montreal, because we were only probably 5 hours away. And it's something I should have done. It was always like, we should go to Montreal, and it was one of those things you talk about and you never do. And I wish I'd done it. A little easier to up there.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's I like.
I mean, I guess I could actually say Montreal because certain segments of Quebec do wish it was an independent country. So, but I'd say I'd regurgitate 2 of my answers from the last question that was sort of like this. I'd say the UK. Or Switzerland, because Switzerland has a flat tax rate of I think 17%. I don't know if that's changed since last time I checked, but it's a really low tax rate. But they have a plethora of fully funded government programs. So just as a fan of efficiency, I've got to go with that.
What do you guys consider the next? So this is from Alex Houston on the boards. What do you guys consider the next biggest sport compared to the big 4, baseball, football, basketball, and hockey?
It's got to be soccer.
Yeah. I think. I really don't think that this is arguable.
Oh, I'm going to show you. It's arguable, and it's not even close. NASCAR by a long shot.
See, here's the thing. Back during the early to mid 2000s, I think I would have said NASCAR, but NASCAR's fallen off a bit since their recent peak.
Not to the levels, not low enough to be, I think, seriously threatened by soccer. Not in TV ratings or revenue or anything else.
Do you have ratings on hand for this? Or?
I can look, but I guarantee you that it's pulling 4s and 5s. On national TV, and I guarantee you soccer's not coming anywhere close to that.
But here's the thing: on a national coast to coast level, I would say soccer. Maybe NASCAR has the numbers to back it up, but if you take out Virginia southward, and
if you take out the
Texas, if you take out the Confederacy,
exactly. If you take out the Confederacy of America,
that's an easy joke to make. But the truth is that it's also huge in New York, Wisconsin, Iowa, Ohio.
Right. No, I don't deny that it's big up there, but the base is the southeastern part of the country.
Well, see, and I would argue if you take away the 2 coasts, soccer, people are like, what's that?
Yeah, maybe. But it's a very regional thing, because if you go to Seattle, everyone's going to tell you soccer. What the hell is a NASCAR? But if you go to Atlanta, they're making an MLS team in Atlanta, but still, more people are going to be telling you football.
With the worst soccer name too in Atlanta, by the way.
Yeah, Their old NASL team had a pretty cool name, although I think it was kind of weird. The Silverbacks.
Oh
like,
yeah,
like gorillas.
Name, yeah.
It's very specific, but yeah.
I definitely. I'm going. I say soccer because in Canada, I know okay, F1 is actually fairly popular in Canada.
Yeah,
but NASCAR isn't really, which is strange because there are local raceways up here that are still fairly popular and frequently visited. I mean, they're popular. There's one, for example, Delaware Speedway, which actually has nothing to do with the state of Delaware. It's just outside London, Ontario, but it's named after a local native tribe. But that, for example, is still a very popular family destination. So racing is popular here, but NASCAR really isn't. And I think Canada as a whole, if you ask them soccer or NASCAR, soccer would win out. And the reason why I bring up Canada specifically is because we're talking about the Big Four. You know, I think the NHL is really only in the Big Four debate because Canada really kind of beefs its numbers up in comparison to the other three.
If you want to argue just on TV ratings alone, NASCAR beats the NHL by a significant margin too.
Mm-hmm.
But
as I think we discussed that whole specific point before, where it's one weekly event where everyone's playing versus multiple games a night over the course.
Just real quick, I do have ratings. Now, the only one I could do like an actual side-by-side comparison to are from Memorial Day weekend. Mm-hmm. And the Fox's coverage of the Coca-Cola 600 got a 3.1 overnight rating with 5.57 million viewers, okay?
Okay.
The soccer, is FA, is that a big deal in soccer?
The FA Cup?
Yeah,
that's it's kind of a big deal. It's like the secondary important championship in British soccer.
Okay, 1.1 million was the ratings for that. And so, I mean, there you go. But again, it's a debate you could have for a long time. I just think that if you take away the regionality and all that of it, it's NASCAR. But if you get into like the pockets and all that, it's a whole different thing. But you could say that
I would add a caveat saying I would change my vote to NASCAR if their championship was still named after cigarettes.
Well, there you go. You can blame our government for that. Believe me, that wasn't NASCAR's decision.
Because I still think that's like perfect. Like, the championship of NASCAR is cigarettes. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think cup.
Yeah, I think with these two, I had a point and it just went away, went out the window.
Also, Jeff Gordon, I kind of like just because how he wrinkles, the jimmies. He rustles the jimmies of of your standard NASCAR fan for reasons that, as far as I can tell, exist to the fact that he doesn't have a Southern accent.
I will tell you how. Okay, I don't understand this. It would be like if 90% of all football fans cheered for the Patriots no matter where they were playing. Mm-hmm. That's what it's like with NASCAR fans when it comes to anything that is Dale Earnhardt or Dale Earnhardt Jr. And because
but didn't he join Jeff Gordon's team?
Jeff Gordon, he did eventually, yeah. But Jeff Gordon's problem back in the old days was that he wasn't Dale Earnhardt. That's the only thing that they had against him. But that was enough. It was more than enough. At the race I went to over July 4th weekend, it was the Xfinity Series, just like their AAA version of NASCAR racing. And when Junior's car, he wasn't even in the car, mind you, but when his car took the lead, that place went fucking nuts. And I went, wow, this is screwed up. Because he's not even driving the car. It's just his car. And it's in a race that really, to be honest about, is pretty freaking meaningless. And they lost their minds. I went, okay, I'll never understand this. Anyway.
But I think there's two clear contenders. It's either soccer or NASCAR.
Right.
I mean, maybe you could say, whatever banner you want to put under combat sports, where it's do you just say UFC or just MMA?
I forgot about those.
Yeah, but it's very niche,
Yeah.
It's very neat. It's very niche, and you know what? It's in the year 2016. I can find much more accessible places for my gay porn. So.
Oh, and I remember the point I was going to make when I interjected. It was that, for me at least, in terms of because the question is, what do we consider? or each one of us. And when I'm going around listening to things, talking to people, reading things, I end up running into more soccer discussions than NASCAR discussions.
See, and
then maybe
you would find the exact opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's a very regional thing. The South is going to live with NASCAR. The coast, like you said, are probably going to go with soccer. What would the middle of the country say?
Depends on where you are. I think, like I said, if you're in Wisconsin, New York, again, it depends on which part of New York to give you a better idea.
Oh, yeah. If you're in New York City, it's going to be soccer, 100%.
Right, but like if you're in Wisconsin or I'd say even Michigan, Ohio, probably Indiana because of Indianapolis Speedway. Along those lines, it's going to be NASCAR. But I think if you get into maybe like Missouri or some of those, it might start leaning back towards soccer. It's really hard to say. I think that whatever it is, they're both still on the outside looking in as far as the public perception of the Big Four, as far as what I would say.
And then, like you meant, you could even break it down further, whether it's because in Indiana, I'm sure that they love Indy car, or at least the 500, probably more than they like NASCAR.
Yeah.
And then in some of the in some of these places, you're going to find that MLS doesn't equal soccer. Mm-hmm. There might be soccer fans, but there may not be MLS fans.
Oh yeah, but how the U.S. men's national team draws great ratings, but then the major league, the local MLS team, nobody cares about. Right. So it's weird like that.
Yeah,
but I don't think there's really any other contenders,
guys.
No.
National Lacrosse League.
It's Canada's official sport
in the summer.
I want the current.
I
think that the real contender that I think unfortunately just not getting the exposure it deserves is curling. That shit should be in the Big Four, if you ask me.
I mean, I'd like to think that because it's currently summer, that in Parliament there's a sign that just says like national sport, and it says currently lacrosse. But then as soon as the leaves start to change color and fall, like some janitor walks up and switches it to hockey.
Right. Okay, we're closing in the 30-minute mark again. You want to get one more quick one in because we got a couple that are going to be a little more detailed.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd get at least down to the bottom of the page, but
at the bottom of the page we get like a 35-question thing there. So
let's see if we can get up to that list. Let's burn through these other ones real quick.
Okay,
see if we can get to that.
All right, this one comes from Andy again. Oh, wait a minute. Best and worst things about sports talk radio from Alex Houston.
We could sit here for hours about it, but I
don't know that there's anything best about it. There's a whole lot of worst.
I'll give my thoughts very quickly. Best is that it democratizes the conversation. You get a variety of different voices. There's really no one is really shut out of the conversation. The worst part about sports talk radio is exactly the reason why it's great, is because it gives everyone a voice. And unfortunately, this is not very egalitarian of me. This is not very. Not everyone has an equal opinion is the best way to put it. Yeah. So, it gives everyone a voice, but it also gives everyone a voice.
For every Dan Patrick show, there are 35 local morons that don't know what the fuck they're doing. That's my biggest problem with it.
I think, the worst is probably when you get to like a local level and some of these guys have 4 or 5 hour radio shows and they have to fill 4 or 5 hours worth of stuff. And so
I will not have you
kill points into the ground.
I will not have you guys disparage the proud program that is Leafs Talk.
Okay. Leafs lunch.
From Andy, I think this is an interesting question. You wake up and all your debts are paid and your bank account has an infinite symbol on it. What would you do with yourself? What would you buy? Where would you go now that you have the rest of your life to live as you please?
I'd probably buy. Honestly, it's not something I've broadcast a lot over the show, but I'd probably buy cars, like sports cars definitely, but just cars I find interesting. I'd have a car collection. In terms of what I do, aside from all the maintenance that would go into that, honestly, I'd probably just play a lot of rec hockey and spend a good part of my free time writing recreationally. There are a lot of things that I would like to, flesh out and write, not necessarily publish, but just stuff I'd like to get on paper and, be it school or work. I haven't really had the opportunity to develop a lot of that. But if I had unlimited free time and unlimited funds, I'd spend a lot of time doing that. So
I would constantly be traveling. Like I wouldn't. Like I would say that I wouldn't have a home base, but even when I've gone like on a 10-day trip or something, and you're eventually like, I needed to just like sit at home for a week.
You got to have somewhere that you can put your suitcase down.
Yeah, I think I would travel as much as I could. I think one thing that I've always is like the dream to be able to do, and kind of probably why I want to get into being a beat writer for a team so much, is if I could go to every single game in a season for a team, home and road, follow them everywhere, see every single, probably for the Ducks, like see all 82 regular season games. That would be the thing because that's just an insane amount of money, whether it's travel and rental cars and hotels and whatever. With money not being an object, travel to all that, go just constantly travel around the world, try to get to all these exotic sporting events, go see things in the Premier League, Spanish League, go watch some rugby in Australia or something, go to the Olympics, just travel constantly.
I would. Wow, I'm going to sound like I'm trying to be a goody two shoes here compared to you guys. But if I had nothing else to worry about, I would dedicate a lot of my effort to. And this is something that I don't talk about a lot on the show either. But people that know me on Facebook know this about me. I would dedicate a lot of my time to animal rescue, like the dogs and cats and that kind of thing. But that's not to say I wouldn't have fun too. I'd buy
you making us look like selfish jerks.
Well, no, I mean, I think that you don't see me on Facebook because Zach knows this. This is like my big thing. That's like my
There's a new dog or cat that shows up on the Facebook feed every single day.
So it's not a matter of like I'm like I thought as well. Why I can make these kids look like assholes? It's just like this is a very legitimate thing. But I'd also have fun. Like Mike, you would buy cars, and I would do that too. I'd do that exact thing. And there's a few Harleys I'd like to add to my collection. And I would, like Zach, I would go to a lot of different sporting events. I'd hit all those college stadiums that I wanted to hit. I'd go to every Major League Baseball park except Fenway because fuck them. And I
like how you specifically said you're like signaling out. Like, I could go, but I'm not going to.
But I would do that kind of thing too. And
as much as we hate Marlins man, where he shows up.
Him, yeah.
Yeah, you would want to be that guy,
right?
Where you have no responsibilities other than just.
I probably wouldn't wear a neon orange shirt that
of course
me out.
Yeah, no, for sure. But you would want to live that life where you're just going to games and getting the best seats possible and whatever.
Right. Yeah, I would do. Like that. I'd go to the Super Bowl, things like that, and I would ride a lot. I would go out west and hit Arizona, New Mexico. I'd love to ride the California coast the whole bit. So yeah, that's what I would do. And I think we got one more before we hit the big list here. It's from Walter. Is that how you say his name?
Yes.
Okay. If you could be present for any historical, non-sporting event, which one would you go back to?
Whew. Man.
This is going to, and I'm not a religious guy, but I think that we can all agree he's a historical figure, and that's about all we can agree on about the guy. I'd go back to the time of Jesus and see just what the fuck was actually going on, and what he actually said, and what he actually did. That's what I would do.
That would clear up a lot of
it really would
current issues right now if we could have like a definitive. This is what he said.
And I'd also go to the first Constitutional Convention, and I'd sit down and go, okay, let's talk about the Second Amendment. What the fuck are you guys talking about? What do you mean? And that.
Let me clarify this.
Let me clarify this. Yeah. So those are mine.
Oh man, this is an embarrassment of riches for me because there's so many places to go. I would say if I could only choose one, probably the Battle of Hastings in 1066 when William the Conqueror conquered England and became the first monarch in the current line of British monarchs.
Okay.
What? Either that
that's fine. It's just like, again, you could have said all of that in Chinese and I wouldn't have understood it. I mean, I understand it, but I'd be like, okay, I didn't even know any of that happened. But all right.
Either that or 1215, the signing of the Magna Carta.
Okay, that one I understand. I get that. All right. What about you, Zach?
Oh man, I don't know. Because honestly, like some of these things that you put forward, the ones that always jump out to me are like, I would love to be somewhere to hear, like the one that just jumped out at me, and I was like, oh, that's the one I'll say. Oh wait, no, that's sports. Was to be like some kid in New York listening to the radio when Bobby Thompson hits his home run.
Right.
Giants win the pennant. Just to hear that like live on the radio.
Yeah.
And be caught up in it. But that's not sports. I don't know, because like the signings of all these things, while yes, very important, they're just dudes signing a document, right?
Right. I'd want to be there for a few days and talk to them about what's going on.
But then after the Magna Carta is signed, then you go into town and you enjoy the bar wenches. See, that's where. So you know, it's an entire experience that's really only capped off by the signing. But it's like the Super Bowl, right? Where like there's the event, but then there's a lot of other stuff around the event.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I guess I would want to be there.
I mean, William the Conqueror, after he won the Battle of Hastings, there's a lot of quality pillaging going on that you probably want to get in on.
Maybe be there when the first edition of certain books were published.
Oh, that's interesting.
Some old here we go. Ancient Greece and like the first production of one of those ancient Greek plays. Like
that's cool. I would say too. I would love to just be walking through town or whatever it was back then when like Aristotle was doing his bit or Socrates or somebody along those lines. That would be fun.
Yeah. Or just to hear people like that, or to be a little bit more contemporary. I'd want to be there for the opening, the very first showing of Star Wars.
Oh, another one I just thought of that I would have loved to have been there for the launch of Apollo 11. That would have been awesome.
Oh yeah,
yeah. See, you get us going. We could come up with a whole bunch of good ones. It just takes us a little bit.
I can't decide. Do I want to be there for the launch of Apollo 11, or do I want to be there when it's broadcasting, like Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon?
Oh, see, I was there for that, and that was cool. I just love to see it take off. I mean, I'll tell you, because we had a SpaceX launch the other night and we watched it from here, which is 73 miles away, and you could see it really, really well. And I thought, Jesus, that little sucker, and you can see it that well. Imagine a Saturn V from here, what that must have looked like.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, we can probably get through the rest of these short questions before we hit the list if you guys want to.
Yeah, let's burn off some of the short ones.
All right, let's see here. Where did I leave off?
Favorite drinks, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, also from Voltaire.
Coca-Cola for me and beer. Just plain old American or Canadian beer. Nothing special.
Dr. Pepper for non-alcoholic.
Yeah, there you go.
Dr. Pepper. And then for alcoholic, Jägermeister.
Non-alcoholic Dr. Pepper is my soda of choice, or Cactus Cooler. That's also very good. It's a Southwestern specific soda, but it is so good. Alcoholic is it's going to come off as a weak choice to maybe some beer snobs or people like that. Whatever. My favorite beer to drink, because it's easy and it's delicious, is the Leinenkugel's Summer Shandy that they make. It tastes like Fruity Pebbles, and I love it.
I've never heard of that, but now I have to try it.
Yeah, it like you think, oh well, it's just like it's a lemonade shandy beer thing. You're like, whatever, and then you taste it, you're like, oh my god, that is Fruity Pebbles, isn't it?
So with that, we will call part one of the second annual Ask Us Anything show. We'll bring it to a close here, and follow the show on Twitter at Basically Sports. Go to the website, basicallysportshow.com. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and YouTube. And find us on Facebook. Any final thoughts, guys?
No. So many questions. So much.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate. If you chose Bulbasaur, you are playing on easy mode, and you don't know real hardship.
Okay. I don't understand any of that, but that's fine. All right, we will see you next week with part two of the Ask Us Anything number 2 here on Basically a Sports Show.
See ya.
See ya.